Welcome, dear spa owners, to the Spa Business Mastery Podcast. Now, today's topic has to do with your exit strategy and how to prepare to sell your spa business. Now, most of the questions that I get asked regarding spa business, whether it's team growth or solo growth, has to do with actually growing their business. But every once in a while, I come across a spa owner who is at the place in their career and their entrepreneurship where they're seriously questioning whether they can still be a spa owner or should still be a spa owner. But whatever it is that's prompting the situation, they're looking at selling it. And they're trying to figure out, like, how do I apply value to my spa business? Like, how do I figure out how much it's worth? Now, that's only one part of the conversation, that one question: how much is my business worth? The second part is all about understanding how your business would be valued in order to sell it. And so that's what this podcast today is all about, are the aspects that you need to be thinking about in terms of your business. Like, how good is it? As we get into these points, I want you to be asking yourself, like, where am I at with each of these points? Because I believe that once you understand what will be given value, then you will have an easier understanding of what your business value is, and also how to make it attractive to a buyer. Now, I've also been in a situation where I've been asked to consult with spa owners purchasing a new spa. And so, much of the conversation today, if you're thinking about purchasing a spa, will also help you to figure out if the business that you're looking at is actually valued correctly or not. So, it's kind of like selling a house. We always think our house is worth more than what it's probably actually worth, because there's a lot invested in it. With our spa business, it's been a lot of, blood, sweat, and tears, literally, probably lots of tears. Even, when things are going well, it still can be a really stressful role to be in as a spa owner. So, whatever your situation is, if you are looking at selling your spa business, you absolutely want to listen to the rest of this podcast. All right. So so you want to sell your spa business, or you're thinking about selling it. So the question might first come up is, like, is my business even sellable? And really, I think what most spa owners are looking at this point is, like, how much profit can I eke out of this transaction? How do I claim top dollar for my spa business? So I want to also share with you that I have intimate experience with this in terms of selling a business. I sold my spa business. I think it's probably about 16 years ago now. So I had to learn a lot of this stuff kind of just through trial and error. And I wanted to share with you kind of things that I had learned during that time, as well as what I've learned since. Okay. Now, so the question is, how do I prepare for a profitable sale with my spa business? So we've got some things that we absolutely need to, we need to create a checklist for this. So grab a pen and paper, because you'll want to write some things down. So the first thing I want to share with you is that you might not even realize that an exit strategy for your spa business is very much the same as a growth strategy for your spa business. So that's actually the good news, because what it means is that the energy and effort that you want to put into the spa business in order to sell it, you might be in a situation where as you get rolling on, fixing some aspects of it in order to sell, you might actually find that it's making your life a lot easier as a spa owner. So if you're thinking about selling your spa because you're just at your wit's end as far as ownership, it feels chaotic, it's not profitable, you're stuck in the treatment room, you've got some team culture issues, perhaps, maybe you've got one or two in the bunch that are spoiling the whole thing. And you just, or maybe you're not feeling very confident about your leadership. Like you've done all that you know you can, and you are like literally at the end of your rope and don't know what to do. And you feel like the only solution now is to walk away, but you can't walk away because you've got a lot of money invested in this. So when I work through with clients in terms of mapping out their exit strategy and then working on that, sometimes they find that the fix actually is the fix in order to get their passion back into spa business. Because things are running smoother, there's more profitability, they're feeling stronger in their leadership, they've gotten rid of the few bad apples that were wrecking the whole bunch. And all of a sudden they're seeing like, oh, this is how a spa business can work in a really positive direction. So that's great. If you decide you want to course correct and you're like, you know what, I thought I wanted to sell this, but as we're working on things and fixing things and I'm seeing the outcomes of them, you know what, I think I want to stick with it and just continue on, shift over into the growth track part rather than staying in that exit strategy path. So, I really feel like, that whole little nugget in terms of an exit strategy to get your business ready to sell is very much the same as a growth strategy. So, halfway through your exit strategy, if you decide that you're like, yeah, actually, this isn't as bad as I thought, and a lot of things are cleaned up and I want to get back in the game, great. But if you're like, no, I'm solid, I know that I'm done with this and I need to move on, then that's okay too. You get to reinvent yourself however which way you want to, when you want to. So you are not stuck in the spa business. If you don't like it, if it's just not your jam, you thought it was going to be, it's okay. You're not literally not married to it. And you can make plans to exit out of it and move into something that you're more passionate about. Okay. So what are the points here in terms of how do we apply value to my spa business? All right, the first point that we're going to look at in terms of determining value is your profitability. So if you have somebody who's looking at your spa business and they are not in the spa industry, they're business people, they're looking for an investment, they're not intending on kind of being in the business, they just want to kind of run it and have a spa manager, they're not going to care about, spa passion so much. They are really going to be wanting to look at your profit loss statements, your balance sheets. They're going to want to see the inner workings of your profitability. It's not enough just to say, yeah, we generate, say we generate $50,000 a month, perhaps you're a med spa. It doesn't matter how much revenue you bring in. Well, it does. What matters truly, though, is the profitability. So you could be bringing in $50,000 a month, but you could be spending 55 or 60 a month and not really understanding the profitability of your business. So the other piece about profitability that I notice in this industry is that there is more awareness around profitability and spa services. But a lot of times owners are they're only taking into consideration the costs of the treatment in terms of like gauze and, skincare product or foot product or whatever you're using. And they may even be including labor. Sometimes they're not including their labor costs, but they're also not including the other more hidden labor costs, like, in terms of like in Canada, we have Canada Pension Plan and unemployment premiums. And so, I know in the States, you have the same things that you have to match. There's certain employer obligations that you have to pay. That needs to be included in your expenses because it makes a difference on profitability. The other piece that spa owners aren't including in their profitability is their overhead, all their overhead. The lights, the internet, the admin costs. So if you've got reception, if you have spa attendants, that whole list of expenses needs to be accounted for in each treatment. So that's why one of the first things that I work with my coaching clients is their cost per treatment, because a lot of times they have no idea what these treatments are actually costing them. And so when we reveal all these expenses that they just didn't even think to put into their cost per treatment, all of a sudden the light goes on and they're like, oh, no wonder I don't have enough money at the end of the month. So you can bet your bottom dollar that if somebody is looking to buy your business, now, normally when people come looky-looing, they looky-loo for a bit, you give them some initial information, but it's only serious inquiries that you would release your some financial statements to them. And usually you also want to get a little kit put together by your accountant so that you have a package to give to serious buyers, and your accountant will know what needs to go into that little kit. Okay, so first one is you need to be profitable in your business in order to sell it and to make it sellable. Okay, number two is scalability. And this has to do with structure of your business. So the structure of your business will determine your scalability. So if, for the most part, we have solos and teams. And then we also now have e-commerce. That's another revenue stream. So as a solo, you're going to be a bit more kneecapped in terms of your scalability compared to somebody that has a team. However, if you have a really great e-commerce site and you've been doing maybe doing virtual skin consultations and virtual skin programs, and you have an online coaching thing going on and a really strong e-commerce, then that is a system that is scalable for a new owner to come in and work with. Okay, the other piece of structure that you want to consider with scalability is your compensation. So if you have a team and you're still paying commission, especially like 50%, the dreaded 50% commission, oh my gosh. The problem with commission is that we can never really get a handle on our labor costs. So if it gets busier, our labor costs go up. If we put our prices up, our labor costs go up. So this is why there's a big movement to get away from straight commission and go into either straight wages with wages, or wages with profit sharing, or wages with a much lower tiered commission rate. So, but just to keep in mind, think about where your business is at. If you have a team and you are at 50% commission, that compensation structure could be problematic in terms of selling, because it's not super scalable that way. As the business grows, the expenses grow, and it's hard to carve out more profit. The other piece in structure is your team sales. How is your team performing in terms of retail sales and pre-booking? If they're lagging, if you have team members that are not interested in selling, they just want to do services, that's going to be another red flag for a prospective buyer coming in. They're just going to look at, depending on how, how much knowledge they have of spa business, they're going to want to see where retail sales are. And so if you have a team member, a couple of team members that aren't really interested in selling, it's harder to scale your business if you're not selling retail. Okay, so number one is profitability. Number two is structure. Number three is systemization of your business outcomes. Okay, so most spa owners do have systems. The problem is it's all up in their head. It's not documented. It hasn't been kind of fleshed out in terms of like figuring out like the best way to do things. It may be just that, oh yeah, I do this every year. I do this every year, and I do this every year. But you've never actually sat down strategically to look at that systemization that you've done to like, where can I improve it? See, that's where documentation of your systems are so critical. When it's written down, we can see holes in things. When it's written down, we actually have a set of SOPs, standard operating procedures, that we can then give to our new spa owner who wants to take over and purchase our business. So if it's all up in your head and you're kind of a bit of a hot mess with how you do things, that is a type of system that a new spa owner taking over your business is going to find very overwhelming. Okay. So what this should spark for you is that you need to get your systems organized so that you have a marketing system, you have a hiring and recruiting system, you have a training system, a training and coaching system for your team. You have a sales system. As a solo or a team, you need a sales system. It's easier for solos to keep it all up in their head because it's just you, right? You haven't had to be accountable to anybody. I want to talk about selling a solo business in a bit. But right now, I want to continue on here. So systemization. If you don't have anything documented in terms of systems, like I mentioned before, it's really overwhelming for a new spa owner. It kind of feels like a hot mess, and it's much harder for them to step into this business and kind of hit the jets. So that was one of the key pieces with my spa business. Was I recognized when I wanted to sell it, like I had no systems. And it was all up in my head, and it was making me feel crazy anyways. So once I decided I wanted to sell my business, I put together a staff handbook because that was my first system. That was all my team policies at the time, how I want things done, how we relate to each other and the team, how we relate to clients, how I relate to them as leadership, how they relate to me as employee, employer. So all of that was documented in a team handbook. I also created an operations manual, and that was all of the protocols for reception, from opening to closing, booking appointments, supporting estheticians, all of the pieces that reception, guest services does. So there's an SOP for all of that, as well as protocols for all of my service providers. So all of those protocols are like room setup, bed setup, how like scripts that we're sharing with the clients, when those scripts are being spoken. What happens at the end of the treatment in terms of the sales system, like where does the sales system kind of enter in a treatment? So having that all documented is incredibly valuable for the new owner coming in. They literally are stepping into a turnkey operation. Now, one of the things I realized when I was reorganizing my business, my spa business, in order to sell it, was that it was very much like when I was setting up all these systems, it was very much like setting up my business to franchise. And that's exactly what it is. I was standardizing my business, leadership, the operations, marketing, all of it was standardized. And so when the new spa owner came in and I handed her the keys, I could very confidently say, you've got a turnkey operation. You literally just need to walk in and start paying attention and run with it. So that systemization and structure paired with the profitability is very, very valuable when it comes to selling your business. Now, at this point, you can also see how if you're trying to get out of the business because you're just sick of not making any money and it's not going anywhere, you can see how as you are implementing all of these, that you could feel that spaciousness happening. And I felt that when I was making all these changes. For me, though, I had a new baby, and I was very, very clear that I just needed some time, like a good chunk of time, to not worry about entrepreneurship. I really just wanted to focus on my son. Okay, so now I've got 3 more points as far in terms of like how do you place value on your business? And these are the 3 things that actually there's 4 that most of you think about. And that is the client list. Selling your client list. So this is a really interesting conversation because I'm afraid to break it to you, but your client list is goodwill. It's considered goodwill, and you can place a number on it, a value on it, but quite frankly, it doesn't really matter, because when you're selling goodwill, you have no control over whether those clients will actually come back to the spa without you as an owner. So this is really problematic when, for spa owners that are, I've got this really great clientele and they love all these services that I do, and it's worth a lot of money because of all these services. But, there's risk to that, to your client list. So it's not as solid as a value as profitability or structure or systematizing your business. It's basically your client list value is a bit of a house of cards, because the new owner cannot guarantee that those people will come. There's definitely things you can do to mitigate that issue, but that truly is like if you went to any kind of business evaluator that would do this professionally, they're going to tell you that your client list is just goodwill, and we can try to attach a dollar amount to it, but it's risky. It's a risky asset to a new owner. All right. Next is equipment. This is fairly easy to sort out, although you can't value your equipment at what you bought it for because it depreciates over time. But if you have an accountant that is doing all your stuff for you, or your bookkeeper, then they will have you have access to kind of what the depreciation ends up being, what the value of your equipment is. And some things like computer equipment that really devaluates, right? So yeah, you might have a lot of equipment, especially if you were a med spa. You might even be still paying leases on that. So you want to check out what you can do in terms of that lease. But yeah, equipment's fairly easy to sort out in terms of how much value it is. Next up is inventory. So inventory from what I understand, isn't generally included in the sale of the business. It's actually a separate sales transaction. So basically, this new spa owner will need to purchase all of the inventory that you have currently. So in order to prepare for your sale, you definitely want to do an inventory audit. Do you have dead stock that you haven't really been paying attention to, that needs to be resolved somehow? Maybe your team is kind of slowing down on their sales tactics and things just are not moving. That kind of signals that, okay, we need the team working on a sales system, and so that we can move our inventory faster. Because again, a new spa owner is going to want to see what your retail sales are like, what's selling, what has sold over the past year. So yeah, so definitely do an audit. If you have a team, audit your individual service providers, go into there and take a look at their retail to service ratios. If they're under 30%, then that's the red flag. You need to work on some training, or something is amiss there. All right, and finally, in terms of valuation, is gift certificates. Now, this isn't going to be something that you get money for. This is one of those things where you're going to if you've got a chunk of unused gift certificates, then you will need to give the new spa owner that chunk of money. So this is where it gets really icky and messy if you've been using your gift certificate money as cash flow. All right. That's why I always say, put your gift certificate money in a separate account, leave it there, move over once a week, at the end of the week, move over whatever gift certificates have been redeemed. So you don't get into this pickle where you're like, I've used all that gift certificate money, I'm trying to sell my business, and there's like 30 grand of unused gift certificates. Oh my God, what am I going to do? Okay, I have one last little bit that I want to speak about, and I want to specifically speak to you solo spa owners that are thinking about selling your business. Well, I have some not so great news for you. It will definitely be much harder to sell your business as a solo, because you are the business, my friend. You are the business. And so we're back to that issue about the client list asset, being goodwill and not being a solid asset in terms of, it's not equipment, it's not, there's not a scalability aspect. If you leave, the scalability is gone. Now you can have scalability if you've got a really great, you can have scalability, and this can fit if you have an owner who is a new spa owner who wants to buy your business that is very, very well aligned with what you are already doing. And I'm talking about skill level, experience level, service, the kinds of services that you're providing. So like, it wouldn't do somebody any good to buy a business that is a skin therapy business if they are a lash business, right? So if you are a skin therapist and you have the same level of knowledge and experience and alignment in terms of treatment approach, that can work because you've got that alignment, that clients they already know, like, and trust, and that's what they want and want to stay with, regardless of if the previous owner wants to leave. So it's a little bit trickier to to sell a business as a solo. Not impossible, but I just wanted to let you know that it becomes riskier for the purchaser, because that client list, it's all about goodwill and not an actual kind of scalable, proven way to grow the business with people like a team does. Okay. So I hope that helps. So we've got profitability, the structure of your business, systemization, your client list, equipment, inventory, and gift certificate sales. Those are all of the aspects of what you need to polish up, clean up, zhuzh up, whatever you need to create from scratch, buy a template, get some coaching, whatever it is. These are the pieces that you need to look at and prepare for if you want to sell your spa business. So if you have any more questions, please feel free to leave a comment wherever you're listening. If you happen to be on the podcast, you can shoot me an email at kirsten@kirstenfoss.com. And go ahead and follow me on the socials that we've got, Kirsten Foss Coaching, and Kirsten_Foss on Instagram. Got lots of information there about growing your spa business. So there's all sorts of growth tips that you can use if you're deciding you want to create an exit strategy for you. That's it for me today. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time on Spa Business Mastery.